I've been in 3 wars. Would I do it over again? It's a good question. Well, I have to start off with the beginning, where I didn't go to war, but I started with a US Marine Corps in an infantry role. And would I do it again? Absolutely not. At least how I did it. I would go for a different MOS, a different job, something I can handle better. I'd also want to take the advice from my superiors more seriously, like not focusing on the fight, but rather the progression. Like if I had realized what the path of life is, how you're not going to be shoved into a war right now, how you're not going to be that dude that you look up to right now. It's going to take years and years and years. I would have handled it a lot better. I would have had more patience, and I would have understood I am 18 years old and I'm not supposed to have it all done. I'm not supposed to be the person I'm trying to become right now. It's gonna take some time. And it's just difficult for all of us to see the progression of life take place, the lessons you learn and the paths you take. But one thing I really value from my time in the Marine Corps is the legitimacy on my CV. So as you can imagine, my CV, my resume, it's got a lot of weird stuff, and yeah, it's useful for some groups, like contracting work, sure. But for other jobs, it's a little weird. I've got my YouTube channel, that's my income, but my actual work experience is kind of whack. And the Marine Corps and my time working at Apple retail are pretty much the only 2 things in my 10 years of adulthood that I have to lean on. And it's not only the resume aspect of it saying, oh, I was in the Marine Corps, it's the training that gives it meaning. Had I went to the wars that I went to afterwards, like Ukraine, Syria, and Iraq, and I didn't have the background of being a Marine, I would not have had that baseline knowledge that kept me alive and kept me beneficial to the team around me. So that's definitely a good side of going to the Marine Corps. So had I not done the Marine Corps, no matter what I did afterwards, I would not have been taken seriously, and for good reason. All in all, yes, I would do the Marine Corps again, but I would not go infantry. It is heavy. Marine Corps infantry it's above anything that I've ever witnessed before. It's so brutal, and I just couldn't cut it. I couldn't cut it. I did 2 years and I got out. Now for Syria, the YPG, I would 100% do it over again. And many times I wished I could, but I would definitely change a lot of what I did, which is, first of all, utmost importance is that I'm joining for the right reason. Why am I going there? I went there originally, and I talked about it in the 10-year video. I went there out of pride. I went there out of ego, trying to go and chase death for a pat on the back from whoever. I was an immature child. I was 20, 21 years old, and I didn't know what I was going after. I thought that the opinions of others mattered more than, my opinion of myself. And I came out of Syria realizing that is not the case. I will never be good enough for some people. No matter what I do on my channel, no matter what I do in my life, I still get people who say, you haven't done enough. Why aren't you in Ukraine still? Why aren't you in Iraq? Why aren't you in Syria? Why aren't you in the Marine Corps? At the end of the day, I learned since 6 years ago that it's okay. It's okay. Life is a journey. This is not done. My story is not done. I'm gonna be continuing, but I'm changing my outlook on life because of my time in Syria to be less reactionary. And this goes for all the wars that I went to. I go to a lot of them because a war happens and I go. But I wanna be less reactionary, be a little bit more thoughtful before going into a conflict, and I wanna get my feet wet inside the culture that I'm going to be operating in the future before going there. Does that make sense? That was a lesson I learned in Ukraine, which we're gonna get into, but it's very important for me to understand the culture, understand the people I'm working with, understand the terrain and the military that I'm gonna be helping beforehand. I'm not gonna say where or how I'm gonna be helping, but my eyes are set on other wars. It's also Ukraine, of course, but I'm also looking at other future potential wars that I wanna go and help, in different ways. Primarily FPVs. So that was something that I learned in Syria. And if I were able to do it over again, I would go there for the right reason. I would go there less reactionary, less chasing after some ego, chasing after some story, and just do it, And that's certainly what I did in Iraq, which is the next one, living in the tunnels. The reason I went over there was because of that lesson I just said that I learned in Syria. I went there with no phone in mind. I didn't text, I didn't make any videos, I barely put out any Instagram posts. I was there for the people there. I learned the language almost fluently. I learned how to live in tunnels. I learned how to be a team leader and then squad leader, and I was a good friend. So would I do Iraq over again? 100%. That was the best decision of my life. And honestly, I'm not saying this for everybody. I'm not saying go to these groups. These groups change over time. That I don't even know who's there anymore. But 4 years ago, when I went to the tunnels, it was a great decision, and I went there for the right reasons. I faced those demons I had in Syria, and I did everything I promised I would do if I could do it over again. Iraq was my redemption. Having spent a long year travel alone in the van, I finally had time to reflect, but reflect in a way that I'm beneficial to others. And able to actually fix the thing that I was so traumatized from, which was my bad experience in the YPG. It was good. The time there in Syria was great. I learned a lot of good things. I met amazing people that are still friends to this day, people that are much better warriors than myself, or were. It It was incredible. But Iraq was the place where I was able to be that person for others. I was able to be that person that they could look up to, and it was good. It was good. We had an Italian chef there that was able to go and teach us how to cook. And I cook to this day. I'm cooking pasta later. There's a lot of learning that happened there, and I just could never take it back. I could never. Now, we gotta talk about Ukraine. I've been in a lot of groups in Ukraine. I've been there 5 times. Gonna be 6 times probably pretty soon. And because of that, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of things I would change, a lot of things I wouldn't. So let's start with this. I would do it over again, in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. I love Ukraine, but given some caveats. For the first time I was there, I would definitely change up the pacing I took things. And it was very difficult. It was the start of the war, and I was reactionary. Like I said, I don't want to be reactionary anymore, but we were reactionary. The war started, we got to go there. They need people who are trained, perfect. I'll give it my best shot. But the pacing for myself was a little bit more than I could chew. Some people were able to operate. They were able to go to Kiev and just hold the line and get her done, and it's because they're better soldiers than me. They have more courage. My courage a lot of times is based on who's around me. It's, that's something I learned during that first mission, during that first time in Ukraine, is that I can very easily get overcome by fear. This is just me personally. You could say it about my character. It's something I struggle with, unfortunately. It's something I'm working on though, and I've gotten better at, as you guys know. But my fear is based on who I'm around. And it's a balance of that, fear and courage and the people around me. All that jumbled up, that tells me how I'm gonna perform on the battlefield. But going on that first mission that I had in Ukraine, it gave me better opportunities later where I now had my feet wet. All right, no matter what it was, I had my feet wet. I had a little bit of experience in the front line, and I knew what was going to be asked of me in the future. So that later helped me get into an amazing SSO team out east in Donetsk. We were working out of Balclia and Izium area, right? And that's where I performed exactly as anyone would have wished. So that was an amazing time. We didn't get to go into crazy combat in that team or anything. It was a recon team. We tried, but that's just not what God had planned for us at that time. Honestly, I don't know. But hey, I performed well. I felt like I did my job, and people thought so as well. And yeah, that was great. It was a lot of those things. It was the Marine Corps, the Syria, Iraq experiences that molded me into a beneficial team member for this recon team. And then after that, the middle trips I had in Ukraine were with TDI as an instructor. I would do it over again. It was amazing. Seeing the progress of my students and then them going to the front line, returning back with videos and stories saying thank you so much, and we did a good job, and people came back live. That was cool. It was really cool. And it wasn't just me. There was plenty of instructors. There was like 10 of us, infantry. All of us had an impact, and yeah, I would 100% do it over again. I love TDI a lot. I have nothing bad to say about it. It was unpaid, but we got the job done. They gave us an apartment. It was cool. I really, really enjoyed it. The people around me, the instructors, the friends of friends, the people that would come through for a couple months just to help out a bit as instructors, and then they go. Those people are great. The translators, really fun time. We felt like we were doing our job, and it was pretty peaceful. It wasn't too much of a danger except for the missiles. There was a lot of missiles and shaheeds. But other than that, it was pretty easy to swallow, especially at the time I was dating somebody, and it was important for me to be safe, for them. Now, my 4th trip, I was completely invested in going to a combat unit for a long time, under contract, for the first time. I never had a contract prior in Ukraine. I had a contract in Syria and Iraq, but never in Ukraine. I was able to dodge it. Now that unit, 130th TDF, I said Iraq was the best choice. This was the best choice I ever made in Ukraine, hands down. The people that I was with, prior instructors in TDI, we have Artem, an incredible cinematographer. He's made a movie about his time, a documentary about his time on the front lines in Ukraine so far. He's Ukrainian. The people I met that were in my unit, it was, oh my God, it's like a dream. Jay, who helped me with my hand when I cut it up with this FPV. Alex, the person who helped me engineer these drones, and we got the job done. It was so successful. But me going to that unit at the start, I was a Mavic operator. I'd put up the Mavic drone, do some ISR. That was very rewarding, all right? Seeing the enemy, I only seen the enemy once before with my own eyes. Having a drone, you see them all the time, and I felt like I had an impact on the battlefield. So that was very encouraging, a direct impact on the battlefield. Here I am watching the enemy, here I am dropping a bomb, and it's an easy job too. It's something that doesn't take a lot of courage. There was times where we got shelled, but because the people around me, I didn't panic, and it felt really good. I would 100% do it over again. We had Arnie as well. Arnie joined the team. God, we had such a dream team. Our entire team clicked, and we made our front line a little more dangerous. Of course, I made mistakes in that team, just like any of us. I would redo things. I would keep calm at certain times. but it was overall the best choice I've made in a while. I am absolutely blessed to have been given the opportunity to join that team, and I think I did my part. It would have been hard not to with how much I respected everybody there. I had to do what I could. I had to put in 110% just because of the people around me. It was very encouraging. In my 5th time to Ukraine, that was just, it was a month long, visiting friends, stopping by different places, seeing the needs and wants of different organizations, and then taking back some lessons learned from them, learning from their experiences, and that was very valuable. But anyway, I gave out this video in a different format to my members first. They saw this first. But I want to reiterate it and give it to the main channel because I know a lot of people probably had this question. And yeah, just thought it'd be interesting to talk about. Don't do what I do. You don't have to do any of these things. This is my story, but I'm not above you and I'm not below you because of these. I am my own person. You know what I mean? We all do our own life and we all make mistakes and we all get better and we learn, and that's, you know, life is fun that way. Definitely see the bigger picture 10 years down the road. That's for sure. So anyway, talk to you guys in the next one. Thanks for listening. Peace.